Hello, everyone. This is Keeping It Real Estate with me, Sara Delansig, and it's been a while. It's been a while. It feels like it's been a while, because I'm on like every other week, every other Wednesday, and uh, the 2 weeks ago, 2 Wednesdays ago, there was New Year's Day, so. I feel like I'm a little out of practice, but we're gonna rock this thing anyway. And today, since it's a new year, we're gonna talk about the 20 small habits that you can implement. You don't have to implement all 20 of them. These are just ideas, just things that we should, keep in mind as we are transitioning into a new year, having new goals and new focus for our businesses and things like that. So I want to preface that by saying don't feel like you have to do anything, have to start all 20 habits. And, I might go through some of them and they might be self explanatory. Some of them I might explain. But before I get into it, I want to like kind of look back on why I decided to talk about this. Well, one of the things is like showed up on my feed, and that's important, which I'll get into because one of the habits is like control your feed. And so we'll talk about that. But I had it pop up, and anytime I see anything that I'm inspired by, I save it as a photo on my phone. And then I think about it, how it affects, and impacts my life. And then I try to put it into words in another way, or like from my perspective as a realtor or as a business owner or entrepreneur or anything like that, so that I can hopefully inspire you all as well, so that you can see yourself in some of it as well. With that being said, I also listen to a lot of other, really successful entrepreneurs like Tony Robbins and Layla and Alex Hermosi, which you probably hear me say almost every time I'm on here. And so this morning I was listening to Layla, and she was talking about, your goals and how like we shouldn't really focus on our goals. Because when you focus on your goals, a lot of times you get caught up in it. And when you're not achieving those things, then you can get discouraged, right? And a lot of people have these big, hairy, audacious goals that maybe they don't understand the effort that it takes to put in towards it. So I think that it's really, really important that when you have a goal, you understand what it takes to get there. And a lot of people don't. I don't think a lot of people do. And so when they've set these goals, then they're like, okay, well, I want to set a listing appointment every day, and I'm gonna make all these calls until I do it, right? So then what happens if you don't reach that goal? Then you're discouraged, and then you might not want to do it and things like that. So one of the things that you can do is you can control your effort and what you put into it, and you can't really control the outcome, right? But if we're doing the things that we know will get us the results that we want, then that's where you can focus your energy. And then every now and again, you need to analyze, reflect, and see if that's helping you reach the big, hairy, audacious goal that you have. So, for example, let's just say again, like you want to set a listing appointment a day, right? And right now you make 0 calls to any of your leads that you may pay to get, or maybe you don't pay to get, or something like that, right? Like you have leads in your database, and you don't make any calls to them or any text. You just let the automations do their thing. Maybe you're afraid to make the calls. Well, if you want to get a listing appointment a day, for me, that looks like about 100 calls per day. For you, that may look differently. The leads that you're calling may be different types of leads. I mostly call Facebook leads. They, are about a 10% answer rate, and about, less than that as actual appointments. Now, if you're really skilled and you have a lot of experience, then you are very confident, competent, and confident in what you're doing, like myself, then maybe you're going to have above average results for some of that. So for me, I can control my input to make sure that I make 100 calls. If I make those 100 calls and I don't set a listing appointment, I can either continue making calls or I can reassess and readjust, or I can try again tomorrow, right? It's not like a daily thing that you're assessing and adjusting, but like when people set goals, especially for the year, right? You're like, oh, you know what? I want to sell 250 homes this year. Well, how many homes did you sell last year? Was it anywhere near 250? So if it was, then is your goal achievable? You probably already know what you need to do. If you've already sold 200 homes, it's probably not that far of a stretch to get 50 more, right? But if you sold 2 homes in 2024 and now you want to sell 250, you may not know the path that it takes to get there, right? Like you may not understand. So while it's an awesome goal to have, maybe start a little bit, on a different level. And so there was this quote that I heard this morning that I want to share. Other than the control your effort, not the outcome, it was action creates experience. Experience builds competence, and competence leads to confidence. Okay, this is super important because whenever I try to like explain to the people that like I teach, or anytime I'm helping people understand how to follow up with their leads, or how to close a listing appointment or something like that, right? Anything that I'm doing, I've always wondered, how do you get somebody to understand, like be confident, without fake confidence? And this quote summarizes it perfectly, because you don't ever gain confidence in something you're already confident in, right? You have to start doing something you're uncomfortable with, that you have probably no confidence in. When I first started calling real estate agents to try to sell real estate coaching, I had zero experience in it, zero confidence in it, zero competence in it, right? So I had to learn. And so the actions that I put forth in order to get the experience, in order to become competent, then led to my confidence. That makes sense? Hopefully that makes sense. So again, action creates experience, experience builds competence, and competence leads to confidence. So I like that a lot. Okay, so these are 20 short habits that you can hopefully apply. Maybe not all 20, but some of them that may resonate with you, or that you may want to change for your 2025. Okay, number 1, write down one thing you are grateful for every day. This is really a big thing, and it may not seem like it. A lot of people don't understand that when you put yourself in the mindset of gratitude, that it can actually shift your energy and how you feel about the day. So every once in a while, I go through these like phases. Maybe you're not feeling well and you're like, oh, and you think to yourself when you wake up in the morning and you're like, man, I really don't want to get up, and I don't want to do like today. I just wish I could lay in bed, right? That attitude then turns into, even when I'm not sick and not feeling like that, maybe I'm still having that thought. And so I try to purposely have thoughts in my mind in the morning and when I'm going to sleep, that it's going to be a great day. It's been a great day. That tomorrow's going to be even better, or whatever the case may be, so that I'm not thinking and starting on a negative, like I don't want to wake up, because I see that a lot of times that people will do that, including myself, like I just mentioned, where you start off on the wrong foot and your energy isn't there because you're not focusing on the right thing. So being grateful for something and saying that gratitude, even in your mind, right? But if you write it down, it's better, right? So that is number 1. Number 2, consume educational content at 1.5 speed, because the retention is the same. That is really cool. And you can actually do this with a lot of stuff. So you can listen to, personally, I don't think I can do it at 1.5 speed. I like to really like hone in on details and hear every little word. But you can rewind and go back and put on captions and stuff like that. So I don't have a whole lot to say on that one because I don't do it, but that is that is number 2. Number 3 is swap your phone. Okay, so it says swap your phone for a Kindle, but I'm going to say for a book. Last time I was on, about a month ago, I had the amazing Devontae Blow, and he has a book called Just One Layup, which we talked about. So go find the recording on YouTube or on theagentcollective.com. and check it out because and you can buy the book on Amazon. It's awesome. So I would say not a Kindle because I think that there's something to do with like actually holding a book in your hands and like reading it that is even more relaxing. But in this person's post that created these 20 habits, they said that this fixed 90% of their sleep problems. So like an hour before bed, or like when you want to go to bed, instead of sitting there watching television or whatever, have a book next to you. And if you're a Kindle person, do that. Because apparently it works too. But I like an actual book. All right, number 4, automate small decisions and tasks to save your brain power for bigger things. I think there are like literal movies based on this concept, right? Like I can't remember. Some of them are, or maybe it was like an episode of The Office or something, where like they're like, no, it was Big Bang Theory, and Sheldon was like, I'm not gonna make any decisions. I'm gonna roll a dice, and whatever's on the dice is gonna like dictate what I'm gonna dictate what I order for lunch and all of that, so that I can save my brain power for all of the big things in life, right? And I think that's also really a good thing because there are a lot of things that we can't automate that we don't automate because we have control issues, right? So just pay attention to what those automations are doing and remember to reflect and adjust if you need to, if they stop working, right? Okie dokie. Number 5. Learn to use a body scan meditation to fall asleep quickly. This is something I wouldn't say I wouldn't call it a body scan meditation. I just do like a sleep meditation. I also listen to subliminal sleep, like, you're going to have a great 2025. Like there are these things on YouTube that are just like really relaxing music, but in the background, they're subliminals. Part of me is a little freaked out because I'm like, I don't really know what they're subliminally saying, but some of them you can actually hear and they will list it for you. So there are those things as well. So, but body scan meditation, I think is really important. And a lot of people are like, "Oh, meditation, I can't do that, right?" Like it's just sitting there. But that's the point. And when I first started, I also was like, okay, my mind is just keeps wandering, and that's okay because that's part of it. Just like I said earlier, actions lead to experience, experience leads to competence, competence leads to confidence. So start it, experience it, adjust if you don't feel like a body scan meditation is working for you. Maybe switch it to like sleep subliminals or something like that, or some of the other ones that are there. I just did a meditation. No, it was yoga. It was like a spiritual awakening yoga practice just yesterday, which was pretty interesting. So there are different things for that, right? Okay, number 6. If you want something, ask for it. Closed mouths don't get fed. That's self-explanatory, right? But a lot of people don't ask for it, I will say. But you need to have the, confidence to ask for it. So do that. 7, double down on creative activities that make you lose track of time. I don't consider myself a creative person. No, not really at all. No, I think I failed art in high school. Like pottery or something like that. Not my thing. But I have gotten I do like coloring. And when I was a kid, I used to be able to draw one thing. It was a fox. Somebody taught me how to draw a fox, and that's the only thing I could draw. And I can't, but I don't really sit there and draw foxes now. But what I have is like a little coloring book, which is like an adult coloring book, and it does help you de-stress and kind of like let go. So that might be something that you guys want to try too. Okay, there are other creative activities though, but I'm just giving you my perspective on what's worked, what I've done. And not all of these I've done. Okay, number 8 is keep a swipe file of things that resonate with you. So this is what I was talking about in the beginning of this. And the swipe file is literally the thing that I'm reading to you right now, which is, I don't think you can see it, but the 20 short habits with a massive return on life, right? It was something, because my feed, which is another one on here, which we'll get to, my feed, I make sure I don't click on things that do not resonate with me. Because if you click on something that has like the opposite effect, let's just say that I don't want to watch anything that has to do with like sad puppies or, I want to see like happy, puppies, right? Like if I start clicking on stuff that has to do with something that makes me sad or makes me feel a certain way, that will then start my feed that way. And then if my feed is doing that, then I'm not going to have these types of things that I actually resonate with pop up. So the swipe file is literally whenever I'm scrolling through Facebook, and it will ask you. Well, mine is Facebook. I'm not on it. I'm also on TikTok and things like that, but which is going away. But anyways, um, on Facebook, it will ask you and it'll say, "Do you want to see more of this content?" Sometimes I ignore it because I don't want to say yes or no all the time, but sometimes I say yes, especially if it has to do with leadership or if it has to do with, growth or with entrepreneurship or, with just good advice. And so keep a swipe file. So that's what I have, one for this today, and then I have one for the next podcast that I do. So and in that one we're going to go over like the Pareto principle and all the things that like successful people use to manage their time. At least I have it there. I'm not promising that that's what we're going to talk about because I might come up with something else that makes me, I'm more passionate about. So, okie dokie. Number 9, write down the most story-worthy moment from each day. Story-worthy moment. Huh. That is interesting because sometimes you might be like me and you're like, there's not really a story-worthy moment. You might think that because your life may not it may seem mundane to you, but to someone else, it might be very exciting. So like for me, setting an appointment for a listing, a listing appointment in person is very normal. It's a normal day, to talk to someone. For you, that may be so crazy. Like it might be like, oh my gosh, how did you talk that person into doing that? Or how did that go? And a lot of these I share my call recordings. And I will start doing that again soon. My assistant, she's just been really busy, but she makes the little videos and I'll share it. I think I have a few. I just need to pull them up and share them with you guys. So, all right. So write down story-worthy moments. That was number 9. Number 10, put your phone out of reach while you're working. Yeah, so I could do that in some ways, and I get what it's saying. So before I started taking Zillow calls for one of my clients, I had my phone on vibrate constantly, and I had it kind of out of the way. But I do text my clients from my cell phone, and not from like my CRM or from my app or whatever, because I like to, I like the real to real, the blue on blue text messages so that I can see that they read it and that sort of thing. So, for me, I keep my phone near me, but on vibrate if I have to, but it is distracting and it isn't the greatest thing. And even just sitting here, like it's not muted and it's dinging, and I don't think you guys can hear it because I think it blocks it out, but you know, it's probably a good thing if you need to focus on something to put your phone to the side, right? Okay, let's go through where are we? Number 11. It looks like a 14, but it's 11. Try tracking every minute of your day and see how you actually spend time. Okay, this sounds kind of funny to me because when I sold real estate coaching, um, they wanted to know what I was doing because I was like the most successful salesperson and I was training the team, and they wanted to know what I was doing with all my time so that they could try to duplicate it. And I literally wrote every time I changed a task, I would write the time and then what I changed the task to. This was extremely tedious. And I'm that kind of person with that kind of detail like I like those kind of details. I don't think that they read my email. Nothing ever came of it. It was kind of a waste of time for the purpose that they asked me to do it. But for me, it was kind of eye-opening because I realized how often someone on my team came to me as the team leader and would be like, "Sara, I need help fixing my mic," or "Sara, I need help with this." And then I realized that I was kind of failing as a team leader because they all needed me all the time. They couldn't do it without me. I had to show them or I had to do it for them. So then I kind of switched and I started teaching them how to do it for themselves so that I wasn't needed as much and then I could have my time back. So if you do this, right, remember that it can be overwhelming It doesn't have to be perfect, but you're looking for the things in there that you can try to cut out, which we might go over next time when we talk about the Pareto principle, the 80-20 rule, that kind of thing. Okay, number 12. If you're procrastinating on something, work on it for 2 minutes. I think this is a trick. I haven't done this. If you're procrastinating on something, I think it's saying work on it for 2 minutes, because if you just start, then you're probably going to get a good chunk of it done. That's my guess, because I was the biggest procrastinator when I was in college. I literally would wait until the last. I worked really well under pressure, and so I would wait till the very last minute to write, a 20-page thesis or something, right? Like, I was that person that would stay up all night and literally be printing it right as I'm supposed to be walking in the class, like that kind of thing. It was bad. It wasn't good. And I think that this is a good idea, that if you are procrastinating on something, just work on it for 2 minutes, because once you start, I bet you're gonna do it. But unfortunately, I don't have personal experience with doing that quite yet. But I don't procrastinate as much, because when you procrastinate, it's because you're putting something off that you don't want to do. And I love my job, so I don't really have that problem right now. Okay, let's see. This was weird. Number 13 is be bored more often, to give your brain space to be creative. So another one I don't know how to relate with, because being bored to be creative seems not, I don't know. Being bored to me just seems like you've done everything and there's no space to be creative at that point. But maybe it's just like you are going to color on something, or, those kinds of things, like adult coloring books. Maybe I need to do this because I'm not creative at all. Maybe now I'm just realizing that, and maybe I should try it. All right. So number 14, revisit things that have brought you joy in the past, because they'll do it again. That's a really good one. So, I mean, I find real joy in what I do for work. I just mentioned that, right? And what I do for work is calling, prospective buyers and sellers for real estate agents to try to set appointments for them. I'm really selective on the people I work with, so that I work with agents that I know are going to take it seriously and all of that. So, but I definitely have found that it brings me joy. I get really excited when I set an appointment, when someone, like a client of mine, maybe hasn't had a win in a little while. Like, I get so excited, like if I get to set an in-person listing appointment, or, set up a tour or something like that. So I think that's a good idea. Revisit the things that brought you joy. It doesn't even have to be, I should mention, it doesn't even have to be business related. That's just where my mind went, because I do the things I want to do anyway. I'm very lucky like that. But you may not have that ability. Maybe you work too much. Maybe you're a workaholic. So maybe you need to spend more time going to movies, or, reading a book, or doing yoga, or some of the other things that may bring you joy, going to church. I don't know. Whatever it is that brings you joy, figure that out. Okay, okay. Here on to number 15. Oh, this is one I was talking about before. Take care of your information diet and carefully curate your feeds. This is under acknowledged. You really don't realize your feeds reflect your life, reflect your thoughts. If you're scrolling through any social media and you see something like a train wreck, like, oh, this woman's, husband is cheating and did it, not a literal train wreck, like a train wreck of a story, a line or something, or some kind of outrageous thing, like, oh my gosh, like, something horrible happened. And I'm not talking about mainstream events like what's going on with the fires in LA right now, because we're all following that as a nation, our hearts are all going out to them and donating and praying and, all that stuff, right? But if you are scrolling and you stop on the things that bring you trauma or drama or chaos or whatever, your phone actually knows how long you looked at it. Have you ever been sitting there? This just happened to me the other night. I was talking about something to do, maybe it was something to do with a teenager being a pain in the ass. Like, yeah, I think that's what it was. I was talking about, how, teenagers are moody and da 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 da. So then all of a sudden, I did not search it. I didn't do anything, right? But my phone is always listening. And all of a sudden, I scroll through and it's like, oh, is your teenager moody? There's these vitamins or these gummies or these things that you can buy that will help balance their hormones. And I'm like, what in the world? But that happens, right? And personally, I don't mind because my phone can listen to whatever the heck I say. It's not going to bother me any, because I have no reason, and I don't mind. Like, oh, go ahead. I actually think I bought the gummies. So it wasn't actually the other day. I did buy the gummies, but it was a while ago. But there was another one that happened that was very similar. But my point is that you are always telling your social media how you think and feel. And that is so key to help you understand yourself, to help you understand who you are and how others perceive you. So watch what you put your time and energy into. Don't let things that bring you down, take space. All right. Okay. Number 16, reach out to people just because they cross your mind. I don't do this enough. But I have had those experiences where you have a friend that you went to college with, right? And you haven't thought about them in a long time, and all of a sudden, like, you hear a song. One of my friends, his favorite song is like, girls just want to have fun. It comes on the radio. All of a sudden I'm thinking about him, and out of blue, I haven't heard from him in 6 months. He texts me, right? Like almost the same day. So the universe is not that mysterious. Our thoughts have energy. Okay. I know that sounds strange, but we are energy, and what we put out, we receive. And so if you think of somebody, it's probably for a reason. So you should trust your gut and follow through and check in on that person, which I just said I don't do enough, but now I'm going to do. See, we're all learning here. Okay. Number 17, don't compare your behind the scenes to everyone else's highlight reel. Oh my gosh. If I could highlight some of the ones myself, it would be the feed one and this one. And the other one I talked about earlier, what was that? The swipe file. Yeah, because these are the things that I actually really experienced. So people are posting things in a curated way, right? They're posting things they want people to see. They're not posting the 10 hours of struggle and effort and energy and time and analysis and research that went in to post a 5-minute video, the recording, the outfits, the makeup, the hair, like whatever it may take. The fact that I wake up at 4 o'clock in the morning when I do one of these agent power huddles so that I can get my mind right and make sure that I don't freak out, because this has always kind of freaked me out in some way, but I know that it's important and I'm passionate about it. And so passion trumps fear, right? So I think that if we to make sure that we're not comparing ourselves to everyone else out there, the highlight reels that we see on social media, we need to compare ourselves to ourselves. That's it. So don't always believe all the other stuff. People are like, oh, I want that life. Well, do you want all the work that that it took to get there? Do you want all the long nights? Do you want all the other things? Successful real estate agents will tell you this. So many newbies come in and they're like, oh, I just want to, I want to go make a bunch of videos, and I want to travel the world, go into real estate events, and I want to, get residual income and just lay on a beach somewhere, right? Well, you don't just get that. Okay. I know, because I was one of them. I was like, oh, I'll be so good at this. I'll just crush it in the first year, and then all of a sudden I'm going to be making all this money. And no, that's not how it happened. You actually have to put the effort in, focus on the effort you put in, not the outcome. Okay. Number 18. This is a quote. I don't know who this person is, from Naval. 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 Oh, maybe it's Naval. Ravikant. I don't know if I said that right, but it says, read what you love until you love to read. A lot of people forego reading because of video now, right? Like you can listen to books. I still think that's reading. Okay. But you can watch summaries of books. I've done this before I bought a book. I'll go on YouTube and I'll look up the review of a book and listen to what it's about and see if it's something that's interests me. So I think we should definitely all do that. Oh my gosh, I didn't even think I was going to take the whole half an hour, and already it's 8:31. Okay, well, we're almost there. Number 19. If you want to change something in your life, track it. I think there's a saying that's like, okay, now I can't remember it, but it's something like, you can't, you have to track what you want to, you can't change something without tracking it, or you can't, it's something to do with analysis. But anyway, I don't remember the quote. So we'll just use this guy's quote, whoever this is. If you want to change something in your life, you got to track it. So just like we were talking about at the beginning, you have to track your effort towards something. If you want to lose weight, don't track how much weight you lost or you want to lose or anything like that. You need to track the effort that you're putting in to get there, right? And that's going to make a difference. But then you're going to analyze the overall to see what the outcome is. If you are doing all the things and then you're not getting any kind of, headway towards your goal, then, or the outcome of losing weight, then you might need to reassess and try something different. Okay, and number 20, here we go. Number 20 is break down problems into the smallest possible action steps. I was actually just thinking about this morning because I love Layla Hermosi's content so much. I feel like every other sentence is quotable. And I'm like, man, everybody's going to think that I'm like such, like, I don't know where she gets it. I'm sure she will quote other people, but I feel like the way that she speaks is entirely quotable. And I want to do this podcast to the best of my ability. And so I am trying to find to better myself. And so that's why I listen to her, because I'm like, wow, if anybody could do this at the highest level, it's her, right? So I think that she breaks down problems in the smallest possible action steps so well. But she doesn't just break them down. She literally goes even further and she says, how do I get results that I don't want? Let's say I don't want to sell 250 homes. I don't want to sell a single home. What does that look like? What is the effort or lack of effort that is put in for that situation, right? Okay, well, I'm not going to make my calls. I'm going to ignore all my clients. I'm going to sleep in. I'm going to not attend any, educational content, meetings, podcasts, anything like that, right? Like, it's literally the opposite of all the things that you should be doing. Making phone calls, paying attention to your database, attending educational content, meetings, podcasts, right? Events. So there we have it. And we'll wrap it all up with a nice little bow. So those are your 20 habits that you can use for 2025. You don't have to use all of them, but maybe they'll be helpful for you. I know this was really helpful for me. So let's go grow and crush 2025. Bye.
If you'd like more information or to get connected to the Agent Power Huddle, join our free Facebook group. This call was designed for the agents in our EXP organization, but open to any agent from any brokerage. If you're a guest and you're interested in learning more about EXP or our specific resources within the Agent Collective, reach out to the person who invited you to this call to get more info. Produced by the Agent Collective Media Network.